I mean, believe it or not, one of the biggest like secrets is to genuinely to steal.
You just kind of get in your head, basically.
Yeah, you just become like, I mean, for me, I'm a massive overthinker.
I was obsessed with Harry Potter as a child. Used to make like Harry Potter edits, post them on YouTube.
For me, like I very much thrive under pressure.
My enough and my level of satisfaction isn't determined by other people. That's, I feel like, the quickest way to the bottom, because then you just end up pivoting your content and doing the content that other people want you to do.
You're so wise. Teach me your ways.
Kris Jenner said that, or maybe she didn't even say this, maybe I just hallucinated the entire thing, but basically, if you're giving someone a price and their first answer isn't no, then you've given the wrong price. Anytime I'm giving someone a quotation or a price, Kris Jenner's words pop into my head.
I guess it all comes down to, are you the happiest with what you put out?
Wow.
Hello, Zohair.
Hello, Ali.
Nice to see you again.
You too, mate. Yeah.
It's been what, a month?
It's been about a month, yeah, since the Creators on Creators mixer.
Yeah, no, that was really, I feel like I met so many cool people then.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how that ended up us being paired together on this podcast.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit nervous coming on here, but then when I found out that I was gonna be pairing up with you, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I know
Someone I know.
exactly. So, yeah, super relieved, but yeah, just super excited to be here. It's so nice.
We're so excited to be recording this episode from the Adidas London HQ, specifically their showroom.
A special thank you to the Adidas team for their hospitality and for supporting Creators on Creators.
So what type of content you create?
So I'm a video editor. I would like to be known more as like a visual storyteller. So I'm a movie lover as well. I'm a massive like film nerd. So,
Okay.
And I also love making trailers as well for my favorite movies, and just growing up with those and trying to showcase those skills and that passion to the audience is something that I would like to be known as. What about you?
So currently I make content about the creator economy, about social media and kind of like social media marketing. But in the past I've dabbled in so many random things in content creation. I'm sure you have as well. You know, you just kind of, you pick up the phone and TikTok is this big thing, and then suddenly you're just making all these random videos. But yeah, as of now, I mainly do content within kind of like the marketing space on the more like educational side. But previously I've done kind of like more creative content, storytelling content, vlogs, lifestyle. I had a stint as a celebrity conspiracy theorist.
I remember you mentioning that actually at the mixer.
That was a while ago, but yeah, I've had, I say, a few lives in the creator economy. But yeah, what kind of led you to starting your journey within this space?
What led me? Honestly, boredom, because it started off with COVID. Like COVID, it was more of a like, I mean, obviously it was an awful time, but it was also a bit of a blessing as well, because we were all just like stuck at home, not knowing what to do. So I'd always had like this passion for creating content, like just on YouTube as like at a young age when I was like 11, 12 years old, just creating all sorts of random stuff. But then I thought, okay, let's try and start some sort of editing. And I just looked up to a lot of directors and actors and just movies in general. And I was like, let me just try and do my own little spin on it and just see where that goes. And, you know, here we are. It's still just as fun. Yeah.
And is it all like, did you teach yourself everything?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. Like I, started off with Windows Movie Maker when I was like super young, and then Sony Vegas Pro, and then now on to like Premiere Pro. So just like self-taught all the editing there. And that's the more you teach yourself, the more the passion grows and grows. So how about you though? How did it all start for you?
Yeah, honestly, very similar to you actually. I feel like I've just always had a knack for storytelling, you know, ever since I've been young, whether it's so many different forms of creativity, writing, reading, all these different things. And then probably around the age of like 10, I started, I don't know if you're familiar with an app called Video Star, but it was like really popular in like, when I was really young, I was like 10 years old. No?
Video Star?
Yeah, you literally would just use it to make like music videos. Okay. And so I would like gather my friends, gather like my cousins, like people would just come over and I'd like direct these like videos and I'll just kind of like keep them. And I'm sure I have like my old iPad somewhere, but I feel like that was my first dabble with the creator world, and then I started actually in the editing space as well. So I was obsessed with Harry Potter as a child. Used to make like Harry Potter edits, post them on YouTube.
Okay.
Did a bunch of stuff like that, and then probably when I actually entered like the short form content space, I'd say COVID 2020. Probably my first year uni, 2018. My friend was like, there's this thing called Musical.ly. That was when TikTok was Musical.ly, and he's like, it's this app and everyone's doing all these dances, but like I feel like it's gonna become something. And I was like, forget it. Like, you always like put these things down, and then a year later when they kind of like rebranded to TikTok and things started to pick up, and then I started to see, I downloaded the app, I got addicted as one does when they download TikTok, and I was like, wait, I can do this. Like, I've always loved making content, I've always loved doing these things, and so just started messing around, threw everything at the wall, and then and ever since then it's been a few years of just making content, random content, and
It's incredible how like you sort of like try and develop like a skill or a passion for something, and it just grows and grows and grows. You don't know where you could be in
Honestly.
a matter of time, you know. But
Honestly.
when the cameras when the cameras come off, I would love to see those little
definitely
Harry Potter edits.
I mean, the Harry Potter edits, maybe they're a bit they're somewhere in my old laptop, but yeah, no, it's really interesting, and I always say this. I feel like when you're a creative and a creative person, I feel like no matter where life takes you and what you do, like you're always gonna have to find an outlet for your creativity. You know,
100%.
whether you don't end up having a creative job or whatever it is, like it's like this energy inside you that has to like escape almost. And I feel like no matter what I've done in my life, this creative energy has like followed me, and so I feel like it's my duty to kind of like let it live out in the world in whichever way. Literally. But off the top of your head, what's your kind of like favorite brand collaboration or someone you've worked with off the back of social media, and why?
To be honest, I don't really have that much experience when it comes to collaborating with like brands or anything like that. It's just mostly just been like myself, just loving all these types of movies and all sorts of other creators that I look up to as well, and just sort of try and put my own sort of style to it. But I guess one thing I could probably link to was I was very much grateful and blessed to have Sony reach out to me because I made this like Spider-Man edit. It was like a Spider-Man edit where I included all the films and actors in it. I made it sort of like into one sort of epic little montage, and as Sony saw that, and gratefully they reached out, they messaged just asking like, could we use this? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was I was like, what's going on? This is like the same company that I've been watching all these movies since I was like a child. And, I was just like, sure, of course, take it. But like, I would just very much love to have that collaboration and for people to know who was the editor and the creator behind it. So that's all that sort of matters to me. So that's one thing that I can just think of. Yeah. How about you though?
That's cool. So similar to you, I feel like when I first started on TikTok, even though I feel like I grew my account to a level, it was around 80,000 followers where people monetize their accounts. I feel like the niche I was in, which was kind of like conspiracy theories, it's not something that maybe brands tend to want to associate themselves with. So it was like the odd like game or app that I would kind of like promote, but nothing major. But I'd say right now off of my platform, I wouldn't say I monetize it through brand collaborations, but I kind of run my own marketing agency off the back of it. And so I kind of like get clients and collaborate with brands who want to grow their own social media after they've seen my content. So I guess that kind of counts as a collaboration, and it's super cool because I get to work with like I'm really into fashion, so I've been given the opportunity to work with like some really cool fashion brands, like a modest fashion brand that's come out of Amsterdam. That's really cool as well. Like, you would have never thought that you kind of go into social media and you put yourself out there, but then you end up attracting like so many types of cool businesses and brands to work with. So I'd say my experience is quite interesting, different than the regular creator.
For sure.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, when it comes to these sort of collaborations or any sort of project that you put yourself in, would you prefer that sort of complete creative freedom, or would you much rather gravitate towards like that sort of big budget part of it?
I'd say I definitely prefer creative freedom. Like I feel like when I work with someone, I wanna be able to tell stories, and I wanna be able to tell stories without limits. And so I feel like when you start to have all these constraints and they don't want to mention this and they want to mention that, it just kind of it draws out the magic. And I feel like the magic is really in that initial idea that you have and how you can develop it. And so I definitely kind of like prefer that creative freedom. But I mean, of course, if I can find a sweet spot where freedom comes with budget, which isn't always the case, but when it does, I think it's an amazing blessing, because when you actually get people who ultimately, when they want to work with you, they want to work with you because they see something in you. And so when you get that trust from them and they actually trust in what you do, it's such a good feeling. And when they're willing to also put financial backing behind it, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, what about you?
I mean, everything that you said, literally, I just gravitate towards. I think it's definitely rare nowadays for people to have that sort of mixer when it comes to having a bit of a budget, but that high sort of budget thing, and then also that creative freedom. But I do think the creative freedom does come first, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to also feel yourself as well when it comes to being a part of these projects and all these sorts of creations. So that definitely, for me, in my opinion, comes first. So.
Yeah. And do you prefer like a tight turnaround or like a delayed payment?
I think, I mean, when it comes to that, like, I think most of us would prefer tight turnarounds, because you kind of just, for me, like I very much thrive under pressure.
Okay.
I don't know about you. I like that sort of drive.
Yeah.
Because first it pushes you to want to finish the project a little bit more sooner so you can move on to the next one. I don't like to delay stuff too much.
Yeah.
I think being under pressure sort of brings out
Pushes you.
it brings
Yeah.
out something else in you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. It's
No,
cool. I try my best. But
Yeah, I'd agree, to be honest. I'd say
Yeah.
like definitely tight turnaround, because the worst thing is like when you've like fulfilled something for someone and you have to like kind of go and continuously ask them for money, and it's just like, where's the payment? Like I hate that feeling. I just kind of like, especially as well, I feel like when you're a creator, when you're doing so many things alone, like people have no problem taking advantage of you. And
Yeah.
so it's like, if I can just make sure that I'm okay and I'm good, then I can kind of deliver my work with a peace of mind, whether that's in one day or 1 week.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the thing you said about the people that don't mind taking advantage of you, I fully relate to that. I've been there before, and definitely highlight something in my head. 100%. But yeah, you have to be strong as well. You have to put yourself first too. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
No, 100%. But yeah, like a quick fire round. Like, what's your favorite editing app or software and why?
Premiere Pro, hands
Premiere
down.
Pro.
Premiere
Okay.
Pro, hands down. I think I guess you just sort of go towards the thing that you know the most. So for me,
Okay.
like I've had experience with Premiere Pro, just Adobe in general, for about like almost 5 years now.
Yeah.
Because that's just the one that you know the most, and you
Yeah.
don't want to mess with that too much. You just
Yeah.
want to just stick to that, keep learning it, keep developing that skill.
Yeah.
And I love the captions.
Okay.
The auto captions is like a super helpful thing,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
So yeah. How about you?
I'm gonna say something controversial.
Go on.
CapCut.
Okay, that's not that
I
controversial.
know, but I get so much hate for some people I work with.
Why?
Because like CapCut is seen as this like TikTok Gen Z editor, you know, and people are like, oh, you can't use this, like you can't do this, and you should go to the big boys, like, you know, Adobe, and I know, and I'm just like, I'm just happy with my CapCut, because I love the ease.
Yeah.
I love the fact, because I film a lot of iPhone content as well,
Yeah.
you know, so it's just like, I love the ease of just pulling up my phone, being able to drop the files in CapCut, and then just kind of like edit it on the spot, you know, and I feel like, because I started my journey on TikTok, they're kind of the same company, I believe. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like the editor is the same. I'm quite familiar with it. But now that I've started recording more kind of like professional and like more like higher quality content, I've started to kind of dabble with other softwares, but nothing that I could commit my name to yet.
That's fair enough, though. I mean, whatever works best for the individual, like
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the other people.
No, that's true. And I guess I kind of answered this, but smartphone or DSLR? For me, it's definitely iPhone, but for you?
Probably iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I mostly use a lot of like footage that's already in movies. so it's kind of like easier for me. But like I'm trying to also branch out and trying to put my face out there more. So I just use my iPhone because it's just more simpler. It's just there, so you might as well just use it. But I'm definitely curious about the cameras. Maybe sometime in the future. Who knows?
Do you want to like dabble in that? Because obviously you have kind of like that love and passion for film and cinema. So do you want to kind of tap into that like cinematic style content?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I look up to a lot of creators who are also in this room right now. So, like they use a lot of like cameras themselves, and a lot of creators who have been also part of this show. They also use a lot of cameras. And just, having that film knowledge, you're always curious about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like Paulo, you know Paulo?
100.
Yeah.
He's the first person I thought of. I was like, yeah,
shout out to Paulo. But
Big shout out to Paulo. But yeah, 100%. Like 100%, I'll go into it one day. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I guess the next question would be long form or short form?
I say I'm biased towards short form, but I definitely want to tap into long form.
Yeah.
I'd say that's my quick fire answer because nothing so far has been quick about this round.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, long form is more challenging, especially nowadays, because there's like the audience retention is like so, it just gets smaller and smaller, just in the times that we're in. Yeah, it is probably short form for now,
Okay.
just because of
Yeah.
just how it is nowadays. But it used to be long form though.
That's the thing, and honestly, rumor has it YouTube is making a comeback. Not that YouTube ever left, but I feel like I'm seeing so many creators now migrate to longer forms of content. So many people start to tap into YouTube, and I feel like that's where you can really build, like, in my opinion, probably your most valuable and tapped in community, because for someone to watch you for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes people even make like hour-long YouTube videos. The relationship that you build in that compared to a 30-second video on TikTok or Instagram Reels, like the relationship doesn't even compare. And so that's what always kind of pushes me. And I've been dabbling recently in YouTube, but I don't know, I'm just short form always.
Short form always. It's sort of like, you kind of like, it's a bit of like safer, especially nowadays. But same as you, I definitely want to like dabble like back into the longer form on YouTube and just branch out that audience and the community more. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. All right, well then, what is your best like editing secret hack?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say probably, to be honest, like I kind of like to use templates, whether it's like in editing softwares or even on like graphic design stuff, let's say. I love kind of like taking something that someone else has done and kind of like putting my own spin on it. I feel like it kind of inspires my creativity, and I feel like that's probably, I mean, I feel like lots of people do. I think we all borrow certain things from each other, but I think that's probably the secret or the hack that I use. What about you?
I mean, I've always heard that quote from that movie Fight Club. It was like, everything is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So you just have to keep on going with that. But it's like, I think one of the biggest, I mean, believe it or not, one of the biggest like secrets is to genuinely to steal. In a way, not really like that word to describe it for, but in a way, essentially it is, because you're just being influenced by other creators and trying to put your own spin on it, just like you said. So yeah, it would pretty much be just that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that
similar
makes sense.
to yours. Yeah.
And if you could get rid of one platform, which would that be? Which one are you willing to lose, and why?
Gosh. Honestly, it might have to be TikTok,
No.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to find somewhere else. I mean, it would have been either TikTok or maybe Facebook.
Okay.
Because Facebook.
Wait, Facebook is in this conversation.
Now it is. To be honest, it kind of never was, because no one's really towards that. But I mean, if I had to pick one, it would probably be TikTok.
Okay.
I kind of prefer a place in which the community really, really matters. Because like on Instagram and especially on YouTube, just like you said, people sort of come together. You can actually collaborate more. You can connect more with your audience. TikTok, you don't really see that much. Like I love reaching out to people in like DMs and getting those really nice, friendly people reaching out to me, praising work and all sorts of things. You don't really get that much on TikTok. It's more just about the content itself, and you're just eating it up more and more and more. So sorry, buddy. It's TikTok.
Fine. I mean, even as you were saying it, I was like, which platform would I pick? Because I feel like it's such a hard question. But my easy answer would be like something like X or Twitter, because I don't even use that. But but if I had to pick between the ones that I actually use, like probably TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And this is not payback, but I'll probably say Instagram. Because for me, it's like there has to be long form.
Okay.
And like I love YouTube, and like
Yeah.
I've spent so many hours on that platform, and it will always be there for me. But I think like I started my content creation journey on TikTok, and for me, there's just something so special about TikTok. Like when I'm on TikTok, I feel like I'm on FaceTime with people. It's just
Yeah.
like it has that FaceTime effect, I like
Fair.
to call it.
Okay.
And I just feel it's so raw and personal. And for me, I don't know, I've always kind of like, yeah, I've always feel like I struggled with Instagram, because I feel like there's always that almost like barrier between you and your audience sometimes in a way. And I feel like it's the emphasis on aesthetics, the emphasis on the editing, the looks, all that type of stuff. And I feel
Yeah.
like Instagram is a place for the aesthetics. TikTok is a place for like the behind the scenes bullshit, like that's where I want to be. Like,
Fair enough. You said it bluntly. Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah.
That's so interesting that we have pretty much like opposite
Opposite,
ideas about
yeah.
that. But like, I mean, perspective is always such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Wow. I completely forgot about X, about Twitter. I didn't even picture that and like
But
put
that's
that
the
in
thing.
the
I feel like
conversation.
it's like I feel like in the lineage of platforms, like Twitter never really had its like. At least I know there's so many creators on there and who make loads of money, and they probably create solely on Twitter. But it's like I personally have never met like a hardcore like X fan. Like, oh yeah, this is my platform. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like it doesn't work that way.
It's almost like non-existent for me at this
Yeah.
point.
Do you
Like,
use it? No.
I mean, not really. No, not to like post content, but like nowadays, I don't even want to go on it because
Yeah.
there's just so much. You just sort of become a little bit too desensitized by
Yeah.
it. There's all sorts of like weird stuff on it, and it's just
Yeah.
getting weirder and weirder as the day goes by, and I just don't want to go on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some challenges that you face as a creator?
Ooh, that's a very good one. And I feel like so many challenges come to mind, but I would definitely say one is figuring out how do I show up online versus real life, and like what parts of myself from real life do I bring online? Because you hear all these things about you have to kind of pick a niche and you have to do this and you have to do that, and I'm almost like I'm a 4D character, like I have so many sides to me.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like I can't like limit that to just one, and I know you don't have to, and I don't personally, but I feel like as well, because I'm always changing, it's figuring out how do I show up as all these different changing versions of myself, because you make content sometime in a different style or in a certain way and people follow you for that, but then a few months later, a few weeks later, you grow and you change, and you're no longer that, you don't maybe 100% resonate with that side of yourself. And so I'd say definitely that's like trying to define my voice, but then also right now I feel like I'm in a stage where I'm like almost like pivoting my brand, because I've been making content about like social media marketing and content to kind of like attract people to my agency and my marketing services, but I feel like I'm in a place where I don't need to or don't want to do that anymore, and I kind of want to go back to my roots of just like making content for fun, like storytelling, like just doing all these fun things. And so it's about kind of like how do I navigate that transition with my current audience and all these people who follow me on this new TikTok account, because I still do want to kind of keep them along the journey, but it's like how do I take them to where I want to go, and where do I even want to go, and to the first point, what do I show up as? So I'd say those are probably the biggest two challenges that I'm facing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You just said it all. You literally said it. I'm smiling because I was just like, I'm looking myself in the mirror almost, because I literally was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I think when you're on social media or just creating content for a long time, you're gonna eventually sort of, gravitate to something new and try and change always comes, whatever it is. I guess for me, the challenge would be like, what else can you do? Like, what more do you want to provide for your audience, for your followers, for your community? So it's like, for me, like I want to branch out a little bit more. I don't just want to be known as one who's like making movie edits, like I always would love that, but you also want to connect more with your audience. So that's the challenge I'm trying to overcome. Because I'm also quite like, I mean, I could be a little bit what's the word? Like a little bit.
You just kind of get in your head, basically.
Yeah, you just become like. I mean, for me, I'm a massive overthinker.
Yeah.
Massive overthinker. Like it's a very relatable thing. But
What about perfectionism? Do you feel like you struggled with that?
oh my god. Yeah.
Because I feel like we spoke about challenges, but neither of us mentioned perfectionism, and I'm like, I feel like that's a
That-
big like.
That's the challenge. That is the challenge. Yeah, perfectionism. Yeah, I fall for it every single time, and it just gets to you and it slows you down. But I think through time you sort of learn to overcome it. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how do you kind of like engage and interact with your audience? Like, how do you kind of nurture the relationship that you already have with them?
I think just like through the small things that you can do, like just to reply to each comment, make them feel like you love this content and platform just as much as they do. Make them really feel part of everything. So that's what I try and do, and I try to reach out and reply back to all sorts of messages and comments. Because it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. So you want them to be a part of the journey as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. How about you though?
No, honestly, same. I feel like for me, even though I didn't say the best things about Instagram, I feel like Instagram is a place where I feel like I've really built a community on Instagram with like the people who've kind of come across from TikTok, and I only recently started this new Instagram, but I feel like the people I have on there are like so tapped in, and like I treat my public story almost like a close friend story with
Yeah.
limits.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've seen. I just post the most random stuff. Like I got the other week, I missed a flight. I vlogged the entire thing on my public story. Like I just showed like I love to kind of like just give people almost like a behind, like what I would post on my TikTok.
Yeah.
I post on my Instagram stories, and that's
Okay.
kind of like the way I kind of like navigate it. Because for me, TikTok is very much like behind the scenes, more raw, more stripped back, and then I kind of take that onto Instagram, and I feel like that's where I really nurture and I create conversation with people, because then people are like, oh, that was so funny, or oh, what ended up happening, and I feel like so many things and so many times, sometimes I'll be with friends and I'll be like, oh yeah, by the way, this happened to me. They'll be like, Ali, we know, like we're watching, and I'm like, wow, maybe I shouldn't be sharing this much, because now everyone knows all my business, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I feel like it really goes a long way, because so many people are always telling me like, I really feel like I know you, and I'm like, some of these people I've only had a few conversations with, maybe even just in the DMs, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's the beauty of kind of like stories.
Yeah.
Also, as you said, kind of like replying to comments, doing that type of stuff. But yeah, and like, how do you kind of like, with the audience that you have, how do you kind of like grow it? Like, what are your kind of like growth hacks and secrets in a way?
Growth hacks and secrets. I mean, just to try and be consistent as possible.
Yeah.
Just try and keep that consistency. I mean, like we said, we always fall for the perfectionism and everything. But
Yeah.
I think the key is consistency, to keep on making sure that you're keeping the fans and the followers and all the people like as priority, to feed them that cool content that you're passionate about, that they can connect to. Make that as a regular thing, post like
Yeah.
3-4 times a week, something like that, sometimes even more. I'm not always great at it, but I care, just to
Yeah.
really care.
Yeah.
It's so cool, the thing that you said about like the stories. That's so helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorite things about Instagram. I think
Okay.
is the story
The
like
story feature.
thing. Yeah, it's really really good. Yeah, because like the other day, like I saw you were like in Spain. I was like, this guy's everywhere. What's going on? I thought the other day he was just in London or something. Where's he
Yeah.
gone Barcelona for? But yeah, like 100%. Like it brings out another cool side of you that people may not be aware of, and I think that's important. But there's always like a little limit to it.
Yeah. And also, I think it's like fun, like for me at least, I find it's fun to kind of like experiment. Like sometimes I test things out on my
Yeah.
story, and I kind of it gives me like a pulse, because I feel like also the people who watch your stories, probably your most loyal audience,
Yeah.
probably the people who are like really engaging with your content. The algorithm chooses then to also show them your story or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or they probably watch your stories a lot, and so they kind of keep coming back. And so I feel like stories is a great way, I feel like, to talk to your most loyal, just followers, or just
Yeah.
loyal, whatever it is. Like I feel like it's a great place to kind of get that pulse on how are people feeling, but also kind of experiment. Like, maybe I want to test out this new format. I'll post like
Exactly.
a snippet and see how kind of people react, or I'll just talk about something different. Like, is there kind of like that need for it or pulse for it in my audience? So I feel like it's a great like experimentation ground as well, you know.
Yeah, you pretty much said it all. Wow.
And are you so are you with management or are you like an independent creator right now?
Oh, independent creator. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. I mean, I think people may just know this mostly about me is like, I don't really try and like, I guess I just love the independence. I love that freedom.
Yeah.
And I don't always like being told what to do. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what you're passionate about and just your creativity, you don't, for me personally, I just wouldn't really want someone higher up to, be telling me that sort of stuff. Obviously, like, I have my friends and family who I'm always grateful for, and my older brother is always giving me like amazing advice all the time. So I always have him to look out for me all the time. But other than that, like, I do love that independent feel
Yeah.
when it comes to
And do
creating.
you want to get management eventually, or do you kind of always see yourself independent?
I mean, who knows in the future? Who knows
Yeah.
in the future? But at the same time, like, I'm definitely very comfortable and quite happy with the way things are right
Yeah.
now. So I wouldn't really want to change that anytime soon. Yeah. How about you though?
Yeah, so I'm independent as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like now as I kind of pivot my social media to be something a bit more personal and less on the educational side and more on the actual like creator side. Not that educators on social media are not creators, but I feel like now that I kind of want to tap into much more of that, like the lifestyle side, the vlogging, the fun, like that type of stuff, and also engage with like products and brands. I feel like I definitely want to eventually kind of like get some management to help me kind of navigate the space.
Yeah.
Secure deals, build relationships, that type of stuff. So it's definitely something I wanna explore in the future. Hopefully in the near future,
Yeah. In the like to connect with more people to like.
Yeah, I feel like I've been
get those
going
relationships.
to like networking events. I've been
Yeah.
kind of like going to like lots of different things, like speaking with other creators and just kind of like starting to kind of put it out there. And now that I've kind of like I've been spending the last few weeks kind of really building out my plan and my strategy for the rest of the year and kind of like setting my goals for my social media. And I feel like one of them is to kind of like start to get in talks by the end of the year once I've grown my platform to a point where I feel like I have an audience that brands can now want to monetize with me. So yeah, hopefully, but for now it's definitely independent.
100%. Okay. But I love when this sort of thing links up to the next question, but like it's a good rounder. How, when it comes to that, like how would you work on trying to build that relationship with creators?
Yeah, so I'd say I feel like for me, building relationships, like the best thing, and I always tell this to people, the best thing I've ever done for myself is put myself out there on social media because my close circle, so many people I know, some of the best people I've met over the last few years have come off the back of social media. I've been invited to like supper clubs and I've gone to, events at a whim, and I've just done so many random things and spoken to people I would have never thought I would have spoken to or I would have never met had it not been social media. And I feel like it all starts with just kind of putting out, and again, when you do that more like personal, raw style content, which I always kind of like make an effort to include even now when my brand is more educational, that type of stuff really resonates with people, and I feel like it hits a pulse, and that's the type of stuff that gets people to want to talk to you. And so I feel like the content itself, but then also I'm not a shy person. Like if I see someone doing something cool on Instagram or on TikTok, like I will comment. Like you will see me like complete stranger, I will be in their comments be like, this is so cool, like, and then I'll just DM them, or like they'll DM me, whatever it is. So I feel like it's just kind of about putting yourself out there, but then also kind of like taking that first step. You have to be, I feel, very intentional with it. You can't just kind of sit there and expect people to come to you,
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Pretty much the same, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're here.
Yeah.
Like so like grateful to be connecting with so many amazing creators and all these, teams that they have, and then to just be here talking to you, for example. This is
Yeah.
what we're doing. We're connecting. We're
Yeah.
trying to collaborate and create stuff together. So that's what it's all about. Genuinely, I'm always like a very shy person.
Okay.
But I think you can use social media as like a tool
Yeah.
to get yourself out there a little bit more and maybe discover a side of you that you may not never have known.
Yeah.
I don't know if I phrased that correctly, but
Yeah.
yeah, like it just sort of starts from there, and then
Yeah.
if you keep going with this and trying to, put yourself out there, who knows what the future can hold.
No, that's true.
It's an exciting thing as well.
No, honestly, and do you find yourself kind of like going to events? Like, do you attend
Yeah.
creator events, and like, do you kind of like look for communities?
Yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, to be
So,
fair. Plug for creators on creators, but
shout out,
on the show, but yeah, I honestly I love going to events as well. Like I feel like it's because again I feel like it's one thing to speak to people online, but it's another to meet them in person.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I meet people in person, it's great if I've already met them online. Then we can like lock it in person. But also being in person is a great way to just kind of like connect with people, because the energy and the vibration you get from someone online versus in person can be completely different.
completely different. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned like how social media can be a massive tool. It can be so useful, but there can always be a limit to it. So I guess my next question would be, do you think you have a healthy relationship with social media? Like, has
Yeah.
it ever gone to a point in which, becomes a bit too much? Like,
Yeah, I'd say honest answer, no. I wouldn't say I have a healthy relationship with social media. I feel like I watch way more content than I should. I spend way too many. I don't even want to. I used to track my screen time. I used to even have this other app, other than like the iPhone one, that would supposedly track my screen time. But then also, because it got so bad, like block out, like it would override screen time, override my iPhone, and block apps when I reach like a certain time limit. But then my dopamine driven brain found some way to like override the app. So I've even now overridden that app. So I feel like I definitely have a problem with just like mindlessly consuming content sometimes. Like sometimes I'll just be on the couch and be like, I'm ready to sleep. It's 10 p.m. Next thing I know, it's like 12 a.m. and I've been scrolling and I went down some rabbit hole and I've watched like an hour-long YouTube video. Like, does it get like that with you?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know how else to answer that. I guess another way to answer that is I don't want to look at my screen time.
Okay.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to know how many hours.
Do you have an estimate? How much do you think?
I don't even want to say. I don't even want because it's not just Instagram. It's like
This thing is across
TikTok and
everything, yeah.
YouTube and everything. So no, I don't know. I don't know. But I guess that's one of the consequences that comes to when you're a content creator. You can't help it. You kind of
Yeah.
have to. It's part of your day. It's always going to be a part of your day because you're so dedicated towards it. Like for example, I have two accounts. My main one in which I create content, and the other one which is personal. I don't even go to the personal one.
Yeah.
I barely go to it unless I'm like communicating with my friends and family. That's it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't create anything on that. It's all towards my main. I put all my energy into that. With communicating with people, creating content, stories, all of that stuff. And then just watching stuff for just inspiration, or just not.
Okay.
I'm just.
And do you ever, to be fair, when you're watching other people, do you ever feel like you fall into that like almost like comparison trap where you're maybe comparing yourself to other people or comparing your platform or maybe even your performance to other people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Every single time. And it's like, why am I not doing that? Like they do it so they make it look so easy and all these things, and then 100% comparison is like the biggest
The thief of joy.
I was gonna say the same thing. Why did you do that?
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, it's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be there. That's why it's what I try and tell myself.
Yeah.
It's what we try and tell other people that we love as well. That you stop comparing yourself, but we never tell that to ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is a really nice therapy.
Yeah.
This is great.
Honestly, it is very
This is
therapeutic.
great.
And honestly, one thing that I've done, this kind of really helped me with the whole comparison thing, is I have become best friends with the mute button. Like I mute people, stories, posts. Like if I feel like, because sometimes like yes, it's someone who I follow, I want to see their content, but let's say I feel like I'm engaging way too much, I'm looking too much, I will mute them for a period of time, or unmute their stories, or whatever it is. Like I feel like I'm very much guarded with my energy on social media. Like, and I also like I happily will unfollow or block or whatever it is, because ultimately I just want to protect my peace, And it's like if I don't like seeing something, or if I feel like something is just consuming me too much, it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind until I can like obviously kind of deal and ask myself like why, because obviously it's a two-way thing. Like that I do that, but I also have to go back and ask myself like why am I feeling this way, and and kind of like work and heal through that. But the mute button can be your best friend.
I never really thought of it that way. I mean, I guess maybe I'm a little bit too nice. Like I always wanna know what other people are doing, and I wanna support as well, just as much as they support me. But yeah, you said it. You got to put yourself first, innit?
Sometimes you have to.
It's just guess you come first. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I should probably start doing that from now on.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like, there's this thing that happens in which when you put out content, when you post something that you're so passionate about, that you're like, you put so much work into this, and you're so excited for people to know about it, right? And you post it, and it says, all right, posted on your page, like it's done, it's out there. Do you happen to like just wait to see?
Oh my God,
what
I know
people
exactly. I know exactly.
Do you just like just refresh all the time? Like, all right, how many comments did I get? Like,
oh my God,
do people like it? You know,
I like when that feeling gives me anxiety.
I can feel it right now.
No, it's like, especially on something like TikTok, because like on TikTok you kind of get instant feedback. Like on Instagram, sometimes I feel like the feedback is delayed, or sometimes it takes a while for things to be pushed out or whatever it is. But I feel like TikTok, you kind of get that instant feedback. And just so many times I've just posted a piece of content like before I've gone out to dinner, and like I'll just be like, yeah, I'm eating, and then it's like I'm checking my phone, and I'm like, oh yeah, how many, like, where is it at? What is it doing? What's the performance like? But I feel like I'm really, now I've kind of made peace, and it's just kind of like I make content for me as well. You know, like I'm not making content just for views or for other people. And I feel like maybe at the beginning of my journey, it was very much like that type of stress. And obviously, like sometimes when I need to make a piece of content for someone else or whatever it is, like yes, the stress is there, so I do monitor the progress a bit and the performance. But most times I kind of just like to be like, I gave it my best. I just kind of put this out there to the world. However it performs, whether it performs good or bad, me sitting on there and watching it is not going to do anything. If I don't like how it performs, I can just take it as a lesson and do better next time. And I just kind of leave it at that, you know?
I guess it all comes down to, are you the happiest with what you put out?
Exactly, right?
Yeah, there will come a point in which I will try and snap out of it, because I'm still doing that. Like yesterday I just put up a content, like some sort of post, and I was like, all right, do people like it? Do people, you know, like, are they gravitating towards it or whatever? But then you kind of waking me up a little bit. Like, okay, am I happy with it?
Yeah, are you happy with it? Like, that's the most important thing. Like, because sometimes, again, you can be so happy and you've given your all, and like, that should be enough. Like, you know, it should be enough. Like, the effort I put in should be enough. My enough and my level of satisfaction isn't determined by other people. That's, I feel like, the quickest way to the bottom, because then you just end up pivoting your content and doing the content that other people want you to do. And of course, as a creator, there's a certain level of like, you need to make content that people are interested in. But at the same time, it's like, if I just constantly am listening to the feedback loop of the audience, and like I'm upset to the point where I'm obsessed with it, that's gonna, one, it's gonna take the enjoyment out of content creation for me, and that's the last thing I want. And then two, it just kind of takes your brand maybe to places that you don't even want it to go, just because that gets views or that performs better. And it's like, then you're not happy with your brand, and then you'll probably be less inclined to make content, and then you just hate the whole thing. And I've been there a few times, and I just hate that feeling, you know?
You're so wise. Teach me your ways. I mean, well, speaking of like happiness, like what would be, like when it comes to happiness and trying to put yourself first, what would be your creative process when you receive some sort of brief, or you're trying to, you know, work with a brand? Like, how do you go along with it? How do you go about it?
Yeah. So I'd say definitely, and I'll speak from the side of like, because obviously with brands, I'm on almost like the marketing side. And so I deal with a lot of briefs that kind of we send out, or that even briefs that I make, or briefs that I receive, or whatever it is, and kind of like working around and making the content from that. And I feel like the first thing for me with a brief is to just kind of like always understand like, who are the key players, like what's the kind of like the main objective of this post, you know, kind of like who's involved, what's the messaging. And again, with briefs, there's like so much variation. Like some briefs are so much more detailed than others. Some things are, you know, not as clear. And again, it's just kind of like, for me, I'm very much like like I like structure. You know, I'm a Capricorn for all the astrology people out there.
Okay.
You know, so I'm very much a structured person. I like to deal with knowns, unknowns. How can I make the unknowns knowns? And that's kind of how I tackle things. And then from there, I kind of like add the creative solution. Sometimes, obviously, if I'm on the marketing side, I manage the creative solution, and I kind of like help other creators kind of like bring that to life and guide them. And there's always, I think, again, with briefs and with things, I think it's always good to kind of have like an open level of communication and just kind of have that initial, like, if there's a question I want to ask, I will ask it. If someone asks a question, I make sure I respond, because it's just like, you don't want things, the last thing you want is to be going back and forth and doing so many different drafts, and then no one is really happy with the final product. So I think just making things clear from the beginning is like the thing that I probably do the most in all my creative process. But yeah, what about you? How do you kind of like tackle this whole thing?
Yeah, for me, when it comes to like trying to handle like briefs for other people or just for myself, like I try and keep it quite simple. I'm a massive like overthinker about a lot of things, so it just helps for my sake, like for my mental health, and just for everything, just to try and enjoy as much as I can. Like I don't really collaborate with like a lot of people. I just try and keep it to myself. Like I'm very happy with just being a freelancer for editing, trying to help other people. You got to pay the bills somehow,
Yeah.
of course, and you know, just keeping the page for myself,
Yeah.
just for my enjoyment. So
Yeah. And do you actually get clients for like your editing services from your page?
yeah, like
Okay.
it's also like a cool resume in a way. Like you
Yeah.
try and show your skills and try and show your passion,
Yeah.
and maybe that can connect to people, potential clients that can, you know, come to me and want to do something. Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing, and but like at the same time, I don't want to have too much stress, because
Yeah.
I'm a freelancer, but I have a part-time job as well. I
Okay.
literally work in retail.
Okay.
I work at Waitrose, you know, so I'm a
Okay.
part-timer in that. So you got to have that stability, of course, and I'm just perfectly fine with that.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
That makes sense. It's really, I feel like I love talking to other creators who are like in the same position as me, at least right now, who like, because again, so many creators make their money off of just like brand deals, but
Yeah.
you know, we can make money off of just like, almost like your page is your portfolio,
Yeah.
and that attracts people to work with you. And it's the same thing with me. Like I put out creative marketing ideas, and then people come and want to work with me off the back of that. And I feel like that's not the typical route for creators, you know.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting, you know.
Yeah, I think like there's a thing in which there's like a separation. Like you can be a freelancer and you can always, you know, get that money for yourself
Yeah.
and provide for your family and for yourself and pay the bills somehow. But for me, like I'm very much like I want to protect my page
Okay.
for myself. You know, I don't want to go in
Too deep, yeah.
too deep and have it too complicated, you know,
Yeah.
because you never know what the future holds.
Yeah.
You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
So I'd rather keep it
Yeah.
that way and just, you know, that's my baby. So I'm just gonna keep it safe. Yeah. Okay. So for this one, we're doing like a 60-second sort of campaign, just so that
ready.
we can
Hit
get
me with
the
it.
creative flows going. So talk us through your creative process from concept to execution for one of these briefs in 60 seconds. Okay, so this is nighttime skincare routine. Okay? Join our intelligent sleep campaign designed for skincare, lifestyle, and fashion influencers. Show us your nighttime routine using our night cream,
Okay.
which comes in 3 different skin types, formulas. So I can't read. Dry, oily, and combination personalized to your skin type. Whether it's a cinematic ritual or an ASMR facial massage, we want to see how you achieve glowing skin with our product.
Okay. Okay.
So it could be like some sort of like an example, like share your day in the life
Okay.
using this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like how would you go about that?
Yeah. So for some reason, the first thing that came to mind when I heard the word ritual was like something a bit more like dark. And I was almost like, how cool would it be if I just kind of like gave people like a normal kind of like nighttime routine, like I'm just kind of like coming back from work, but there's like this eerie, mysterious music And then suddenly I'm like, but then it's time for my nighttime routine, and then the lights turn off, and everything gets a bit like demonic in the video, and then
Put the light on your face.
yeah, and then it's just like me performing this ritual, but
Oh.
then what the ritual actually is just me applying my skincare.
Oh, yeah. That's actually funny.
And then obviously I definitely, because I have like dry skin, so the dry skin one would probably be perfect, and then maybe I'd even do like a small edit of like an oily skin version of me, and they all kind of like, you know how like in a seance they're all around the thing, and
Oh,
it's like the
yeah.
tub of the skincare is like glowing in the middle. I'll probably put like some type of light there, have the room be quite dark, and then the skin is glowing, and then like the nighttime ritual, and then cuts back to normal music, and then I just make my way to bed and sleep.
This is like some horror, like A24 movie.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
have
like,
to
pitch
be
it.
creative with it.
Okay. That's actually sick, you know.
But yeah, I'd probably do that, and then probably for like if I had to post on stories, probably do something a bit more basic, toned down, maybe kind of like a personal experience, talking about my experience with kind of like dry skin,
Yeah.
and just kind of like and how I've dealt with that, and then how kind of like this product helped me get through
Yeah.
it. That's probably the approach I take on stories. But for the feed post and the video, I definitely want to do something something cinematic, creative,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's sick. So like for the story part, that's also like for like TikTok, isn't it? You can also
Yeah,
put
I
that
feel like
for
this type of content is like quite universal. Like again, I feel like with storytelling content, it's like stuff that can work on, you know, on Instagram and on TikTok. Probably, maybe I'd film it in like on an iPhone just to kind of make sure that it's friendly to both platforms and stuff.
sure.
But I feel like even if it's like high def, it would work on TikTok.
Yeah. The
but
cinematic can also be for like YouTube as well. I
Yeah,
reckon
that's the
that would
thing.
be- that
Like
would
honestly,
smash it.
this type of stuff, I feel like I'm onto something. If I find out that some brand stole my idea,
Do it tonight.
honestly, I'm just gonna pitch this to
Just
someone
do it
tonight.
tonight. Fair.
But yeah, now it's your turn. So I'm gonna give you a brief,
Okay.
and you're gonna come up with maybe an equally crazy concept.
Okay, let's do
So celebrating the art of ballet with the historic London Theatre. The aim is to inspire the 18 to 35 age group to discover the magic of ballet at one of London's most historic theatres. It's all about celebrating ballet as a powerful and modern art form that resonates with today's generation.
Okay.
Whether you're new to ballet or already a fan, we want to show how this is a timeless art form that can captivate and inspire.
Oh man. Ballet. Okay. So how would I go about that for Instagram Reel? I think first of all it has to be like super cinematic. So I would wanna get like some fast cuts of different ballets doing very lovely magical dances, right? And it's just like cutting to each one, and then I think maybe I could get some footage from like movies, you know,
Okay.
like of other ballets. Like one comes to mind is like Black Swan, for example. You know, that's
I
a pretty-
literally was thinking
Did you think of that
about
as well? Yeah, literally, it'd be cool. It'd be cool, something like that. Maybe some cool bit of anime footage in there as well, some animation. I don't know. But yeah, something like that to sort of tell the story
Yeah.
of like how passionate you can be for certain art or music or anything like that, and then how you grow up to achieve that. That could be something cool for like YouTube and
Okay.
Instagram. Something like in like 60 seconds or something would be pretty cool. TikTok is a bit more difficult. I guess you just have to be a bit more raw, you know?
Yeah.
You know, just like you said, like put it on your iPhone, you know, set up like a tripod from like some sort of theater point of view, POV sort of thing. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably how I would
that's quite
try
cool.
and make it my own somehow.
I love the movie reference, so very on brand for you.
Yeah, I was trying.
But yeah, I guess now that we've kind of like spoken about brands and stuff, maybe let's talk a bit about money, the thing that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic, isn't it? Yeah.
I feel like
go
it
on.
really is sensitive. But my question to you would be like, what's the highest paid deal, if you want to reveal, or maybe like the most income that you've made off of social media?
I'd say when it comes to like money and talking about money, yeah, it could be definitely a sensitive topic, but for me, like that's never been my drive when it comes to
Yeah.
creating content. Like, sure, like I'm a freelancer, and so I try and do as best as I can. But like I said before, like I'm very protective of my actual page. I
Yeah.
don't really go into like sort
Yeah,
of like
that,
deals
like,
and
ecosystem.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
like who knows? Maybe in the future, if the right
Yeah.
people or
I mean,
product is there.
you said you use Adobe for editing. If Adobe's listening to this, they have a great guy they
Yeah,
can tap
please.
into.
I'm looking at the camera. But no, it's never really been much about that. I
Yeah.
think I just try and keep my head down and just continue developing what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And just sharing my love for
100%.
movies. That's how it's always going to be. And yeah, I just keep those sort of things to myself. I guess that's
Yeah.
just how I've always preferred.
Yeah.
And I guess I think way too much about my audience. Like whatever it is when it comes to endorsing a product or anything like that. I wanna think about the audience. I wanna
Yeah.
think about like, am I really passionate about the product itself? Like, would I go out my way if I didn't have the deal? If I didn't have that deal or didn't have any of that stuff, like, would I actually be purchasing that product?
Yeah.
Would I really be that as passionate about it? So
Yeah.
that's why I think the right one has to come. Like, I'll tell you a funny little story. Just this past week,
Okay.
I had an email. I'm not going to name them, obviously, and had me thinking. Like I even talked about it with my brother as well. And I was
Okay.
like, "Well, what do you think about this?" And then he literally asked me, like, "What is it gonna do for you?
Yeah.
What's it gonna do for your followers? What's it gonna do for the people that you care about and the
Yeah.
people who are watching your content? Like, what's it really gonna do?"
100%.
So then I sort of stepped back a little bit and I was like, I started asking that question to myself as well. I was like, what's it actually gonna do? And then kind of came to that conclusion that,
Yeah.
okay, like, it's a cool thing that people are reaching out. It's a cool start, of course, but it's only just the beginning. And
Yeah.
I prefer to think of it that way. And yeah, let's just keep
Yeah.
at it and just, it's all noise for now, you know?
No, I
Yeah.
get you. I think honestly, I love that because I feel like I feel the same about my brand in terms of like I'm very guarded with who I expose my
Exactly.
audience to, whether it's on the account I have now or in the past. I've always been very much like, these are people who've chosen, like who've consciously chosen to click the follow button, and that
Yeah.
means they've consciously chosen to trust me with their attention.
Yeah.
And so now I'm almost like in a way responsible for their attention, and so I'm responsible for the people I bring to their attention. And so I would never promote something that I wouldn't use. Like I've had so many random brands reach out to me, clothing brands, apps, things that I would not touch, things that I would not wear. And it's just like, yeah, sometimes they offer money, but it's just like, it's not worth it for me because it's like, one, I know that if I even make a video about this, my audience is gonna be like, you don't use this, like you don't use this, you wouldn't wear this, like it just doesn't fit in. And I feel like that's for brands again. It's like, why are you picking me when I obviously don't like kind of like fit your
Yeah.
like your thing doesn't, it's not for my audience, you know. And so I feel like I'm very kind of like conscious of that. And so yeah, but I'd say definitely in terms of like the money side of making it, I'd say most of my money from social media has come from people who've been attracted to my services in the more like creatorpreneur style, you know, where I'm running my business off the back of social media. And like that's where like I get reached out to by so many brands who kind of want my services, my creative strategy, the direction, like all these different things, or like who want to help with kind of like managing some of their creators, and like, you know, anywhere up to like 4 figures I can make from that.
Yeah.
But then in terms of probably the lowest, like at the beginning of my TikTok career, I probably promoted an app for like £20. Like
Yeah.
this is back when I was doing the conspiracy theory stuff and I didn't have this much knowledge about the creator ecosystem and why and how it's important to pick and choose. But yeah, I probably promoted some like random app that I would have never used in my life for like £20.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the things that come to mind.
Yeah, it's like, why do you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what's the reason? Like, why do you actually like do what you do? Is
Yeah.
it for the love or the passion, or are you, going towards the,
Yeah.
the figures and whatever?
No,
but yeah,
100%. And I feel like those are like some of the things that you also kind of like need to be sure of, like before you talk to brands. It's like in that negotiating process, in that kind of like communication process, Whether it's brands, other creators, or just anyone really. I feel like when you're the front of your brand, and you kind of like always need to be super clear on people's intentions and like how they're going to use your face. Like I'm sure when Sony reached out to you, you were like, yes, it's an amazing opportunity, but I'm sure there were some things that came to mind. Like you mentioned,
Oh, of course.
like how are they am I gonna be credited? Like that type of stuff. So like what was that kind of like process like for you in negotiating that and kind of like making sure that you were given your rights in that process?
I mean, it's a good question. I was very hesitant at first because
Yeah.
first of all, like I'm not used to it, and I don't
Yeah.
think I ever will be because I'm just that type of person. Like I just can't fathom when
Yeah.
it comes to these big sort of things reaching out in that way. Like it's just like I can't really process
Yeah.
that. So that's how I felt. But second of all, I was very very anxious. I was so anxious because you care so much about what you do. You care so much about the thing that you put so much time and effort
Yeah.
into the stuff that you love. You want them to treat it the same way that you treat it as well.
100%.
So I was hesitant and scared with how they were going to maybe treat it, but with communication, with trying to know what their intentions are, you get that nice sort of reassuring feeling that okay, like they want to use it, they want to credit you. I had a really great reassurance from them that okay, we're going to credit you, we're going to collab with you, so that it comes up with
Yeah.
Sony and your
Okay.
name, and so that was a
That's really cool. So you got your profile to basically be
Yeah.
on the feed of anyone who follows Sony as well.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
it was a very proud feeling. It was a very,
Okay.
very sort of like, I was very humbled by that.
Okay. And how long into you said this was recent?
Yeah, about a few months ago. Yeah.
And like how long have you been making content? Like I'm just trying to think, how long was that journey from like you first making content to you finally like getting that break and being featured on Sony's profile?
I started in 2020, end of
Okay.
like October 2020 is when I
Okay.
really started to make like some
Okay.
edits. So, yeah, like we
Okay.
just progress.
Yeah.
And just keep at it. So that's just the thing. Consistency. It always comes back to consistency and developing your skill. So yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I get you. I feel like in that kind of like negotiation phase, in that process where you're kind of like talking to brands, making things clear, I feel like it's just important to guard yourself, guard your rights, and kind of just be clear about what you want from this partnership and this collaboration and what they want. And hopefully there's a place in the middle where you can meet,
100%. Is that how it's been for you? Like, is
Yeah.
that process been for you, or has it been a little different at times?
Yeah,
Or like,
no, I feel like that's definitely how it's been for me. I feel like the one like within this kind of like negotiating and money ecosystem, I feel like it's because I think this space is new and not many people talk about money. And again, it's like it depends on your kind of like relationship with money. But I feel like I sometimes find it hard to ask what I'm worth, or what I know I'm worth.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially at the beginning of whether it's my journey as a creator or even as a freelancer or like off the back of my agency, like I feel like it's I was always like either underselling myself or like I would like go to random people for guidance and they were like in such a different part of the journey that the quotations they gave didn't make sense. So it's just always kind of been that struggle, and I feel like I'm still learning like what am I worth, and again my worth changes, and it's like sometimes you work with someone and then they come back and they want to work a few months later, or they kind of want to come, or it didn't work out and then they come back a few months later and then your value has gone up, your stock has gone up in those few months, and now you kind of need to give a higher price. And then there's that question of, oh, but why? And it's like, the why is because the value's gone up. You have to invest early, but you didn't invest early. And so I feel like I'm really starting to kind of like learn to be bold. And this is going to sound so funny, but I don't even consume Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I saw a clip on my feed once. I know this is so random, but Kris Jenner said that, or maybe she didn't even say this, maybe I just hallucinated the entire thing, but basically, I think she said that if you're giving someone a price and their first answer isn't no, then you've given the wrong price. So basically, you need to make sure that whatever price you give someone, it's no, and then you negotiate down. It's never yes, and you negotiate up, because as soon as you've given a lower price, you've undersold yourself already.
Yeah.
So it's like, anytime I'm giving someone a quotation or a price, Kris Jenner's words pop into my head, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give someone like a price, and then it would just kind of go, because again, and obviously nothing outrageous, like I never want to scam people for their money.
No.
But it's like it's an exercise for me to just kind of rejection therapy in a way, to kind of just be like, I can ask people for money, and by the way, so many times I've given this ridiculous price on my head, which is not actually ridiculous, and they've always said yes. So it's like, you know, or like we've negotiated a bit more down, but it's just like people are willing to pay, but they're also only willing to pay when you also know what you're worth. And I feel like that's kind of how I lead, you know?
So really, shout out to Kris Jenner.
Shout out to Kris Jenner.
Pretty
you
much.
know, I'm sure I'm the first person who's mentioned Kris Jenner on Creators
On this podcast,
Creators.
yeah.
But,
There's a first for everything.
There's a
But yeah,
first for
essentially, like,
everything.
aim high. That's what it's got to be.
Yeah, no, 100%. Aim high. But yeah, and I guess to the point of just kind of like money. So you said you're not looking to kind of like diversify your income from your page, and you just kind of like want to keep it for what it is, and then you have your kind of freelance editing services, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
For now, like I'm pretty happy with that. I think like there always comes a point in which, because you see the ads are just increasing more and more and
Yeah.
more on social media in general,
Yeah.
and people are just getting sick and sick of how do you separate that authenticity and you know,
Yeah.
like how do you separate that, you know,
Yeah.
how do you look between those lines? So I'm quite grateful that my followers don't see me like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to feel like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just want to be known for someone who just loves what they do.
Yeah.
And there was this quote from this philosopher Alan Watts. I always go about by it, but it says anything you find interesting, you will find others also.
Yeah.
So you always have that group in the world who will always
Yeah.
connect that feeling with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That will always come. That will always
Yeah.
come. But I think the love comes first. What is it that you want to do?
Yeah.
What's the thing that you're passionate about?
Honestly, I love that. I feel like I need to, because the difference in the people we're quoting, like I'm quoting the Kardashians,
Kris Jenner,
you're quoting philosophers.
I didn't mean to do that, by the way. I did not mean to do that. It was just, I wasn't trying to like, you know, up you.
But no, I get what you mean. And yeah, I guess I understand what you're saying, and I guess for me, it's definitely looking to diversify, especially now as I kind of branch out of that,
Yeah.
just using social media to drive for my business, and more so now using social media to position myself in a way that I want to receive brand deals, and also I'm starting to hop into long form, so I want to make money from AdSense.
100%.
So I feel like I'm really starting to explore all the different ways I can make money, because there are so many ways you can monetize your platform. Like, it's not just one, and I'm sure there's so many people listening in on this, and they probably make their money from brand deals, or they want to make their money from brand deals, but it's like you can also offer services to people. Like, there's just so much you can do, and I really feel like the creator economy is only just getting started. You know, like
Exactly.
we have so much more to come,
Yeah.
and it excites me. You know, like who knows how we're gonna be monetizing our platforms in a few years. You know, like probably some new platform is gonna pop up, and everyone's making money through that. Like, you really never know.
Never know. Yeah. I think and that's probably why I'm just sort of keeping on the ground, because
Yeah.
gonna wait for something even better to come, something even bigger to come. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, you never know.
Yeah,
so
you
let's
really never
just
know.
keep at it. Let's just keep at it. You know?
But yeah, I guess unfortunately it's time for us to end our second in-person meeting. But do you have any kind of like final messages for creators or anyone really who's watching this?
Final message. Ooh, do what you love. Continue
Okay.
doing what you love, and just put everything into it, because you never know what's right around the corner. That would be my message. How about you?
I love that. I'd say for me, it's probably don't be shy. Don't be shy with your worth. Don't be shy to experiment with your content. Don't be shy with putting yourself out there, reaching out to people. Just don't be shy. As they say, quiet mouths don't get fed. And I think there are lots of people out there who are sleeping on their dreams, or sleeping on putting themselves out there, because they're afraid of what other people are going to think, or what someone is going to say, or whether someone's going to reject them. And I'd say you're better off dealing with the pain of being in front of the camera or doing whatever you want, rather than the pain of sitting there on all your dreams that you didn't accomplish just because you were scared, you know? So I'd say just don't be shy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow.
And do you want to leak any of your future plans, anything exciting you have kind of like coming up? Give us a small teaser, maybe. Or don't.
There's definitely something. There's definitely like something that could be coming up. I'm definitely quite excited about it. It will take some time,
Okay.
but it's something that will be very, very cool for the people to see. It's going to take a
Okay.
lot of time though.
Okay.
But I'm just enjoying the journey, going towards it, and
Okay.
anything else? Well, I look forward to putting myself out there more. You know, not just movie edits, but put my face out there more, talk to and connect to people in person, and just keep at it with that, and just keep it
Yeah.
going. Yeah. What about you? Show me some like, any sneak peeks, anything like that.
I feel like I've been quite open. Like my plans have been leaked. Like I am trying to become more of on the kind of like creator and just kind of like change my brand in that sense.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the general vague answer. Although I definitely kind of wanna, if I were to be a bit more specific, I'm definitely looking to explore other content formats, stuff that's a bit more, you know, challenging, stuff that's kind of like takes inspiration from, you know, just cool things people do on social media that are in public, not just in your room. You know, I kind of feel like I have the type of personality that can kind of thrive in these types of situations.
Yeah.
And just kind of like interact with other people in my content as well. And so I really feel like I want to take my content more public facing.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm kind of looking to explore definitely.
It's pretty much the same, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like trying to show ourselves more and really connect with.
Yeah,
the audience more.
100%, and just kind of like be out there in the public, like film more content in public,
Yeah.
like just kind of explore. Like I have so many people who inspire me
Yeah.
in terms of the content that they make, you know, and it's just like I want to kind of like follow in their footsteps, you know, a few of
Yeah.
my inspirations, you know,
100%.
people like there's this creator, her name is Justine's Camera Roll. She's been kind of like documenting her journey as like a creator and how she's kind of like grown, and she's been wanting to become an influencer for a while. And so I've been watching her on TikTok. I actually met her in person as well. She's
Wow.
lovely, amazing. And like seeing someone like her and her journey, or even like, I don't know if you know Ali Abdal.
Yeah,
Makes that
I think
productivity
so.
content, yeah. Like his kind of like YouTube style. Like I feel like I'm starting to like really observe my actual inspirations and figure out where I can find my voice and my tone in between all of them. And yeah, I'd say that's what's in the future for me.
When you mentioned that you want to sort of branch out and you want to go towards like different types of topics and niches, you said you want to go a little bit more outside in the public. Like,
Yeah.
do you have like a specific thing? Like, do you want to be more cinematic or like?
I'd say more so just like filming content outdoors, like with other people involved.
For sure.
I'd say that's it. I definitely want to tap into cinematic content, and I bought a DJI Osmo Pocket. Thanks to one of the executive producers of the show, I have been influenced.
Okay.
But yeah, and I've been experimenting and filming cinematic content with it. So I feel like again, very much in an experimentation phase of my brand again right now. But really excited for what's to come.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited
Yeah,
for
no,
you.
thank you. But yeah, where can people find you online? What are your platforms?
At This Is Zohair. I'm looking straight at the camera. At This Is Zohair on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok, all the same handle.
Okay.
So that's about it. How about you?
Okay. For me, it's at Becoming Ali. That's where you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube as well. On Instagram, it's with 2 eyes because I'm still trying to report and get the account taken down of the person who owns my actual username that I
Wait,
want.
what happened there?
Someone owns Becoming Ali with like
Oh.
1 eye, which is my
Okay.
actual name.
Okay.
And that username is free on TikTok and on YouTube, but it's not free on Instagram. So
I
my Instagram
see.
handle has 2 eyes. And I've tried to contact the owner of the actual Becoming Ali account on Instagram because it's inactive. But no response.
He's just not having it, is he?
No, I just need to spam them with a bunch of reports. Maybe they'll get taken down.
Just keep at it with that, yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you so much, Creators on Creators, for having myself, Zohair, and Ali.
So make sure you leave us a review on any podcast platform. And if you're watching this, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and see you next time.
Wow.